We got through all the stories. This is a really good one. This is a really good one. It's part of Hipster history. So this is not that long ago. It's from 2013. And it's from National Review, my favorite paleontology magazine. But this is an important story because this is concerning Cory Booker, who's about to be a presidential candidate. And there's a forgotten story about Cory Booker, which I'm sure is going to be a big deal in the next few days. And thanks to whoever tweeted this at me today. This is from National Review. This is amazing. Cory Booker used to have an imaginary friend that he talked about in speeches all the time. So if you listen to his speeches, you hear the same stories. Not uncommon for any politician. Cory Booker's, drew heavily on his experiences in Newark, where he moved in 1995 after his second year at Yale. And they helped make him a political celebrity and made him millions of dollars in his campaign war chest. His tales of the trials and travails in the streets of Newark got him elected there twice as mayor, and they helped breed a mythology around him. He rescued a woman from a burning building in 2012, and he got burns in the process. Sick burns, you might say. But the central character in one of his stories, a drug pusher named T-Bone, who the mayor had said threatened his life at one point and sobbed on his shoulder the next, is a figment of his imagination, even though Booker talked about him in highly emotional terms and in great detail. The tale is one Booker admits he's told a million times, according to the Newark Star-Ledger, which is Newark's big paper. Ronald Rice Jr., who's a New York City councilman and a Booker ally, had known the mayor since 1998 and says the T-Bone story was a fixture of Booker's 2002 mayoral bid. In Booker's mind, it's not so much the details of the story that matter, but the principle that these things happen, they happen to real people, they happen in the city of Newark. So, just because it's factually false doesn't mean it's morally wrong. Rice says he doesn't know whether T-Bone exists. But, he said, if Cory had to tell a story or two and mix details up for Newark to get the funding for it, I see that as taking tragedy and doing something productive for it. Okay. So, there's a Rutgers professor named Clement Rice, history professor. He was a Cory Booker supporter. And he told National Review Online he found the story offensive because it pandered to a stereotype of inner city black men. T-Bone is a southern inflected name. You would expect to run to something or somebody named T-Bone in Memphis, not Newark. Rice considered himself a mentor and friend to Booker and says Booker conceded to him in 2008 that T-Bone was a, quote, composite of several people he'd met while living in Newark. Oh, yeah, those people, they're interchangeable. They're all the same. This one and that one. Holy shit. The professor, I love how the professor outing him in the National Review. The professor describes a tough conversation which he told Booker that I disapproved of his inventing such a person. If you're going to create a composite of a man along High Street, why didn't you make it W.E.B. Du Bois, who's a famous black activist from the early 20th century? From Booker, there was no pushback. He agreed this was a mistake. And since then, references to T-Bone have been conspicuously absent from Booker's speeches. This is amazing. Booker has never publicly said that T-Bone does not exist. In fact, he's done quite the opposite. Andrea Gillespie, who wrote the book The New Black Politician, writes, for his part, Booker defended the veracity of the story to me, insisting that T-Bone really existed, and the mayor told Esquire in 2008 that T-Bone is both 1,000% real, but also an archetype symbolic of Newark's plight. You know, like Aunt Jemima or Uncle Ben. They're real. They represent a certain type of person, right? Nothing wrong there. Holy fuck. Asked whether he stands by his previous statements, Booker's campaign spokesman, Kevin Griffiths, said, I think your questions have been answered a long time ago, but declined to specify further. Folks, that's the end, right? Folks, watch for right-wing Twitter to blow this shit up in the next few months. because this is too funny not to make up. And I already could tell you what the response is going to be, which is when Donald Trump would call journalists and pretend he works for the Trump Organization under that fake name. I forgot what it was, because that happened as well. We are only beginning to see how beautifully demented the 2020 presidential campaign is going to be.